Temperatures cool off and people go outdoors more for camping, hiking, and floating. It's important to know what to do if a snake bites you. Joe Hickman has some answers.
Snakes are cold-blooded animals, so on hot summer days it's too warm for them to be active, and in the winter it's too cold for them to move around. But at the start of spring and fall, when more of us are out and about in nature more, so are the snakes. There are 49 species of snakes in Missouri, but only 5 are venomous, and the most common are copperheads.
What you have going on at this time of year, you have young copperheads that were born about this time. They're born late in the summer, early fall. And you also have copperheads that had been active at night that are now more active in the day.
In this area, it's going to typically either be a copperhead, a water moccasin, or a rattlesnake. Those are the types of venomous snakes we see here. And the risk of dying from a snake bite is very low. Usually we hear about one every few years.
That being said, though, if you are bitten by a snake, you should immediately head for an emergency room and keep some do's and don'ts in mind.
If you can get a picture of the snake to help in identification.
If they have any restrictive jewelry on, like rings or bracelets or tight clothing, you want to remove that because there's a good chance they'll have some swelling in the area.
But anything else you do in the field is not that beneficial.
What you don't want to do is go sucking on the venom like they tell you to, like they show in the movies.
Just soap and water and a clean dressing is all that's necessary.
You don't want to put an ice pack on because it can cause local tissue destruction. You don't want to use a tourniquet because you have to really know what you're doing, because otherwise you can actually cause loss of limb.
Do you elevate the limb? Do you lower the limb? There's pros and cons to both. And ultimately where we land in healthcare is just keeping it in a neutral position at the level of the heart.
The experts say you should go to the hospital regardless of whether you think the snake was poisonous or not.
Regardless of if it's a venomous snake or not, you run the risk of infection because it's typically a puncture deep into the tissue in the skin, so that they can get infected.
And if the bite is venomous, the amount of swelling is something to keep an eye on.
Say they got bit on a leg or a hand, they develop so severe of swelling in that extremity that it can impede nerve sensation, it can impede blood flow through that extremity to where that individual is at risk of losing an extremity, and they'll actually do a decompression surgery where they actually have to slice that extremity open to relieve that pressure.
The best advice, of course, is to avoid snake bites by being careful around the places they like to hang out, like rock slabs and brush piles.
Now is a great time to be outdoors. Just be on the lookout for them.
Reporting for KY3, I'm Joe Hickman.